Hi everybody, my name is CohhCarnage here with another Thoughts video, this time on Last of Us 2. Last of Us 2 was a very hotly awaited game. This is a game that a lot of people had a lot of expectations on. And it definitely delivered, I think, on a lot of those expectations. And kind of flipped a lot of others on their head. So what I'm going to do for this video is I'm going to tell you what I think about the game. I'm going to tell you what I think about the biggest aspects of it. And then I'm going to, in a non-spoiler way, kind of leave it there. So the first thing I'm going to say is that I did enjoy playing this game. The majority of it, I had a good time with it. I think that there were some beautiful scenes. I think there were a lot of very disturbing scenes. The environments are some of the best environments that I've ever seen in the game, from how they looked to how organic they were. The gameplay and the combat was relatively fluid. I had a great time doing some of the combat sections. I really enjoyed the kind of upgrade system, although I will say I was a little disappointed because I do specifically remember seeing in some of the earlier interviews that they stated that this game would offer you a lot of character customization, and I didn't really feel that by the end of it. In fact, most of the skill, they're not really skill trees. They're skill lines, and they're linear. You don't even pick within them. You have to just kind of go down them. So I think maybe my expectations were a bit misaligned there, but I do wish there had been a little bit more customization to kind of being able to play the character with that. The game is linear. There is a small section that is somewhat open world, which I actually really enjoyed. But the game is a linear story adventure. Also, for your playthrough, if you are trying to be completionist, keep in mind that almost any door you have to hold down triangle to go through, it will shut behind you. And unfortunately, there are many doors that you just press the button once that will also lock behind you. But anytime you see that, make sure you fully explore the areas you're in. Now, before I say what I'm going to say about this last part in the most non-spoiler way I can, keep in mind, I am saying I did have fun with this game. I recommended it, and it was a good time. That being said, this is not going to be a game for everyone. This is not going to be a Last of Us 1, where I feel that most people will get to the end and kind of go, man, that was a great ride. There were a lot of major decisions made about this game, not only in terms of content, but in terms of delivery. So the best advice I can give is to just take it for what it is, hang on for the ride, and really kind of fundamentally understand that this is somebody else's vision that we're just kind of taking a peek into. Try to go in with as few expectations as what you want from this franchise as possible. And I think, honestly, you might have a better time. So, again, that being said, some of the best environments I've seen in a game. I did really enjoy the combat and the overall gameplay. There were many twists and turns that were interesting and enjoyable. Some shock moments, some very loving moments. But overall, again, I came into this game understanding it was going to be polarizing, and now that I've finished it, I kind of understand why. So anyway, I hope those thoughts help you maybe make your own decision to play it. If you do end up playing it, love to know what you think about it. You know where to find me, twitch.tv/CohhCarnage. And on that note, thank you for watching this Thoughts video. See you next time. Okay. Yeah. So, let's talk a little bit about this game. First of all, it has been a long time since I've played a game that has turned this chat room into what it is now. It is wow. It is a thing. So here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say. I feel like this game, if it in a perfect world, this game would have not been what it was about. I think that a lot of people, I think Last of Us 1 was really special because of the relationship between Ellie and Joel. And I think that a lot of people, especially after everything that transpired in the first one, really wanted to see a game that developed that relationship, got deeper with that relationship, explored that relationship. And I think instead, what we got was a commentary on civilization in a completely different way. And I think that that dichotomy threw a lot of people for a loop. The story itself, I thought, was relatively okay. It is certainly not the best story I've ever seen, but it was relatively tropey. It was a revenge story, and I thought that the story for what it was kind of okay. Do I think that it was an okay Last of Us 2? I think I think there's a plethora of better things they could have done with Last of Us 2. I think the story was interesting, but there were so many times during the story that I was just kind of like, where is this going? What are we doing? And I feel like it many times during the story, it was trying too hard to elicit an emotion from the player without delivering a believable experience, especially considering how believable and incredibly immersive the first game was. It just didn't line up with what I think people wanted from Last of Us 2. Now the story, this is an important distinction to make, and I should have said this before I said this. The story, yes, thank you. The story is not the delivery. And I did not like the delivery of this story. I didn't like it. I felt the pacing was poor. I felt the constant banging around was a negative instead of a positive. I feel that at times the pacing and where they chose to put the perspective was distracting. I felt that it detracted from what the game was. I feel that it was forced. I feel that it was specifically there again to elicit certain feelings at certain times that may not be relevant to what's going on. And although I felt the story was a hard okay, and when I say hard okay, I mean like 5.5, 6 out of 10 if you want to put a score on it. I feel the pacing was like 2 out of 10. I don't like where they put some things. I don't like when they put some things. I don't like it. At times I was very confused as to what events had transpired. Is this meaningful? Like, are they doing this to try to confuse me? Are they doing like, it was just very poor pacing. Very poor pacing. I give it 2 lost fingers out of 10. So that I had some serious trouble with. I will say that I was not digging that at all. And I think that already you've got these questionable decisions. You've completely reoriented what the game is about. And then on top of that, to have the poor pacing, I now fundamentally understand why people are just like, I don't like this. I came in expecting a story that was going to make me feel at least a little bit like Last of Us 1, and I left, and instead I got this like disjointed commentary experience on something that was barely related. I also think that I don't like the fact that there wasn't a lot of Joel. I feel like Joel was the main character of the first game. I really liked Joel. And I think that the fact that they basically killed him off at the beginning and then turned his death into a trope to move the rest of the story along, I didn't like that. I'm just going to say that straight up. I didn't like that. I also don't like that it made that every time I saw Joel for the rest of the story, it just elicited this sadness in me, this knowing that it wasn't going to be around anymore, and it really deadened the experience for me. I think that the writers thought they were brave for doing that, and I think that they thought that, man, no one's going to expect this, but I think that it didn't work. To put it bluntly, I think it didn't work. I think that it also kind of went hand in hand with the fact that they turned Ellie into a slightly unlikable character. So it's like, you got rid of the cool guy, you turned the other chick into an unlikable character, you tried to humanize the other through a very weirdly placed similar storyline with all sorts of problems of its own. And then like it that's when it became the mess to me. That's when it was just like it was yeah. Now, now that I've said all this game is polarizing. I think a lot of people will disagree with me. I think some people I think some people will agree with me. Um, and I think honestly that that's a problem. I think that that's a problem because when with Last of Us 1, sure, some people didn't like the story, but everyone understood it, everyone got it, everyone like saw what was coming from it. And right now in chat, I'm seeing so many people being like, "No, the story meant this. No, the story meant this. Well, they were trying to say this. Well, they were trying to say this." I think that's the issue. Is it's like things got so disjointed that some people could pull out something they liked from it and they just latch onto that and then look at everyone else and go, well, why don't you think what I do? But it's like, because the story is so all over the place, the other people can look at a different part and pull that out and be like, this is a mess. So that's the problem though. When you have so much negative with so much positive, I think that's one of the reasons we're in this position. And that's unfortunate because I honestly was expecting a little more from that for Last of Us 2. I was expecting to end this and have people be like, "Man, that was awesome." To be able to look in chat and be like, "God, how cool was that chat? How fun of an experience was that chat? Man, that blew my mind." Like that's what I wanted from this. And instead I got to the end and I was just like, some of it was cool, but I really didn't like other parts of it. And that's unfortunate. That's so unfortunate. So, yeah. Yeah. I also feel like they tried to put too much in this game. I feel like it dragged and many times. I think there were more than a few times in this game when I was just like, "Oh, cool. Here we go again." You know, like I really there were multiple times and I was just kind of like, "I want you to deliver me a story and I don't feel like I'm getting it." A lot of arbitrary combat sections that just didn't really like match up, that I just felt kind of came out of nowhere. And I don't know, man. I don't know. There were granted, those parts were few and far between. I mean, I did really enjoy the gameplay. I did have fun with it. I liked it. In fact, arguably the environments and the gameplay were the best part for me. But there were certainly times when I felt that there was filler. I felt like there were many times when I was just kind of like, this is filler. And I didn't get a lot of that from Last of Us 1. I didn't get a lot of that. I didn't experience those feelings a lot in Last of Us 1. If you disagree with me, that's fine. If you felt every minute of this game was great and that you enjoyed all of it, I'm happy for you. In fact, I wish I felt the way you did. I do. But I don't. So, yeah. What do I think about people giving this game like a 10 of 10? I think those are the people I was talking about earlier. I think that all the critics giving this game a 10 and 10 and thinking it's amazing, I think they saw a light in the darkness, they grabbed onto it, and they put it on a pedestal. Because that's the thing. You can do that in this game. Some of the scenes are gorgeous. Like, there's a lot of really deep stuff that happens in it. If you want to look through all the other stuff, you can find really good things in this game. The problem is there's a lot of other stuff. That's the issue. And I also, again, this is why it's so polarizing right now. Because there is some really good stuff in this game. There's some really good stuff in this game. But it's also mired by pacing issues, some filler problems, and other things. Are they just getting paid for their reviews? I mean, we all know how that works. I'm not going to get into that. We all know how that works. Some do, some don't. Some don't want to piss off Naughty Dog. Some don't care. We all know how this stuff works. But yeah. Anyway, I think that's about it for me. I think I've pretty much said everything I want to say about this game. Now you guys know exactly how I feel about it. I am glad I played it. It was certainly an experience. I don't think I'm going to need to play it again. And unlike Last of Us 1, I don't even know if I liked it enough to revisit it down the road. When we played Last of Us 1, to get ready for Last of Us 2, that was an exciting thing for me. I remembered a lot of the story. I remembered a lot of the gameplay. I remembered a lot of the stuff that I felt during it. And I said, I want to play Last of Us 1 again, and I'm excited for this. I don't think I'm going to feel that way about this game. So it is an unfortunate difference. And yeah, that, my friends, is Last of Us 2. One thing I'm going to be asking all of you guys also moving forward, because I feel like that most of you guys may be here for other stuff, but do me a solid, and just because we have all finished the game doesn't mean we need to strongly influence others' journeys. So I'm going to be moving on to Raft. I'm going to be moving on to Green Hell. I'm going to be playing EverQuest in the evenings. We've got Desperados 3 coming up. We got Ghost of Tsushima around the corner. We've got a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline. But what I would respectfully ask is, please don't use this channel as a place to discuss spoilers for Last of Us 2 for at least the next little bit. There's been a lot of people that have been avoiding my stream specifically because they don't want their own experience spoiled. So I'm respectfully asking you guys, while I play other games moving forward, please be a bro and not like, you know, if when people start asking in chat, hey Cohh, what do you think of the end of Last of Us 2 and stuff like that, I'm not going to be answering that stuff. I'm going to be, you know, moving on. And honestly, I'm kind of ready to move on from this game. Yeah, it's so polarizing, man. I'm kind of ready to get the good vibes flowing again. I want to float around on a raft in the ocean and eat coconuts, and just kind of go from there. So